This is Giotto's fresco, notable because of, first of all, the showing of emotion, which was so atypical of the medieval period, and the three-dimensional groupings of people. Notice the intense emotion of the monk holding or folding his hands and staring into St. Francis's face, and the monk to his right kissing his hand. The group of people in the middle to the right, the hands of one monk up in anguished exclamation of some sort. And here the Stoic church leaders. Notice here the three-dimensionality of the men seated around the table. So you see their backs of the one, you see the people ahead of them, in other words, in front of them, looking our way. These were new concepts that Giotto was pressing forward with. A classic medieval altarpiece, everything in gold to reflect its heavenly, i.e. read non-earthly nature. In this fresco you can see the thinness of the plaster that was, in fact, the fresco. Applied wet and painted when wet. And here are the two ladies in the upper right, evidencing some kind of communication between the two of them. This kind of thing was not normally done in medieval art until Giotto. I don't know enough to know whether his teacher Cimabue did similar things, or whether all of that was Giotto's inspiration. And you notice, just as a generality, these are normal human earthly scenes: blue sky, lack of gold except in the decoration of the walls, people doing ordinary things. The two ladies on the far right exchanging conversation about something they're holding in their hands. People having dinner, a man with an upraised knife, hopefully not directed towards the man who's also playing the violin-type instrument. This is in the far chapel at the end of the right transept. They're a classic medieval altarpiece, laden with gold. You would think if these are original frescoes, they've been certainly restored because they're beautiful. But they must be original because parts are missing. End of my quote. And imagine what you can learn as a historical student of the lifestyles of that time. And what is the symbolism of this man breaking the stick? I don't know if these are by Giotto or who they're by, but you get a little sense of the knowledge of perspective in that the figures that are closest to us are larger than those in the background, like up in the upper right balcony. And the same thing here, although the figures to the left here are curiously small. It may well be that those to the right are extremely important personages, and that's why they are, by definition, symbolically, in medieval time, much, much larger than anyone else. Although they don't have the gold disc of the two characters in the upper left. We're now in the sacristy, which was the storage place for important religious relics and memorabilia and artifacts, both, I think, of current use as well as those of revered and antique use. Presumably these are all cupboards and drawers for storage. This looks like the work of Luca della Robbia, which we were not able to video in the Bargello. This is supposedly part of the tunic of St. Francis, but who knows for sure? This is the Catholic Church, of course. I'm guessing that these are the priestly cheat sheets for the Mass. Which makes you have even greater appreciation for concert pianists and violinists who do solos. And again, a classic medieval altarpiece. Figures are iconic without expression, symbolic in the things they hold. The colors of their particular outfits define who they might be. Notice in the upper right-hand corner of this panel that these buildings appear not to have a clue with regard to single-point perspective. And I don't say that to ridicule, but merely to illustrate that it was yet for Brunelleschi to redefine. Again, this altarpiece looks like the work of Della Robbia, but I don't really know. Certainly that kind of work. There's that almost ubiquitous knife. I wonder if it's a symbol of John the Baptist of the desert. I'm guessing that this entire floor is one series of tombs. And notice how they're all wearing away into oblivion. It's interesting how there was a lot to say about some, relatively little to say about others, and almost none to say about the fun. I'm too cynical to ignore the attempts of human beings to immortalize their existence by some stone residual. I won't let time mock me that way, nor death either. This is the cloister, which I will pan around slowly. And a cloister was an open courtyard with walkways covered along the sides where the priests and nuns, in theory, used to take breaks and cruise about, kind of like cruising the Slip-In, or the Strip in LA at Sunset Boulevard. Very old printing press. This is an inner area with a little courtyard used now for a museum of various graphical arts, but it gives you a little hint of what the space for earlier nuns and priests might have been. And it's cold. And this kind of architecture has a name. Don't think it's corbelled, but I don't know. Again, you could spend a lifetime in any of these disciplines that I'm encountering on this trip. These, I think, are tools of the trade. Perhaps that's a sharpening stone for engraving knives and punches and so forth, for making this kind of art.